So I was looking at shipping rates from Canada to Portugal. I came across this really weird restriction. Check this out. No rubber erasers that are similar in appearance to food products that are easily ingested. The fuck is wrong with this country?
Man, the people this must be, super special. Makes Americans look like geniuses.
Apparently, eating erasers is a big problem over there.
At least, Kinder eggs aren't banned over in that lot yet.
Oh, hey. A penny.
Coming up on LinuxGameCast Weekly, GlaDOS gets permissive, sticks get truthy, NVIDIA brings the updates, and something about roaches. Then we throw the chairs at nightmares from the deep. All this, plus your hate mail. Let's go. And welcome back to another Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, no exception. GlaDOS gets a bit permissive, sticks of truth, something about roaches and war-torn lands. Then we're going to throw some chairs at your nightmares. In the deep, but joining me every week, this metalhead, this swashbuckling young man, massive swearing, yar bitches, and all the way from Portugal, Mr. Mateus. This man's panties are so wet because he's so excited. Trust me,
Creamy.
you could drown a midget in them. And I'm Ben Stone, and also we have you, Shot Realm Dynamic, joining us every week. Are you not watching live? Watch us live, because together we form Cocaine Voltron. Or maybe just a bit of one. Before we get started every week, I like to see what's been going on. I hear something about Sticks of Truth, J-Man.
Oh, yeah. 3 chairs. It only gets 3 chairs because it doesn't make with the working under Linux. 4 chairs on everything else. But yeah, our roommate picked up Stick of Truth for his console, so we've been playing that for the past day and a bit. Beat it. It's a really short game, but it's fucking hilarious. But we'll get into that in further detail a bit later in the show.
Speaking of Ubisoft, I kind of picked up Dark Messiah of Might and Magic.
Oh.
No, close though. But it's Dark Messiah of Might and Magic is the one source game from Ubisoft. And I've been bugging them to see if they'll make a Linux version of it. Because, the game is actually pretty good. Just saying.
And over here, not a whole lot. Didn't drop Critter off for her escapade, which is going to be nightmare fuel. I've spent more time on Skype at weird hours than you can imagine. Outside of that, we have a bit of a surprise coming up, and it's going to be coming in dry because we haven't really practiced it, so keep an eye out for that. But I heard that horse has security issues, but before we get to that, don't we have a PSA?
We do have a PSA from Mr. Gab Newell.
Well,
the Gaben.
The Gaben, he's saying about the lines that they're a good little tool for porting old games, but when you got new games, you gotta give them a native SteamOS client, because that's just the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. I mean, this comes from
straight from the horse's mouth.
Right, we're A, and it's like, wine is definitely a useful tool for some things, but we're, damn. Basically, he's saying, fucking make a native port, and this is very handy ammunition when you want to throw it back to somebody who's like, well, we were thinking about contacting code. No, bad developer. Then you show him that, and it's like, Gabe's going to come kill you in your sleep after he has his way with your body. But I just wanted to get that PSA out of the way because we're kind of mixing things up. But how about some whoring, J-Man? We got something coming up.
Oh yeah, we have some brand new whoring for you.
Let's start with the old stuff. I mean, I'm kind of old-fashioned.
You want to go with the old whoring? All right, well, you can check out this dirty old whore at linuxgamecast.com. You can also click on our forums button and join Chat Realm, statically linked with any freaking Moon account you have. And for more Linux gaming debauchery, we also have a YouTube channel that you should subscribe to. and rate videos and comment and all that good stuff that they say on those other YouTube channels. But if you like supporting illegal immigrant workers, we have a Facebook page run by them, fueled by them. We literally have the servers powered by illegal immigrants on hamster wheels. Just ask Pedro. He got off his shift. And of course, our second favorite Kiwi, Linux_gaming. But you know what? Do you hate starving children in Africa? Are you tired of just giving all your money to the GOP? Why don't you give some to us?
Oh, that's a horrible idea.
Yeah, it's a horrible idea. And you can follow through with that by clicking on the podcast page on linuxgamecast.com. Maybe giving us a one-time donation. That'll get you on our little wall of shame there. Or maybe, if you want to be super mega turbo Barbra Streisand awesome, you can give us a recurring donation and get a producer credit. Jesus.
That means...
Get your name on this train wreck?
We'll work for them. That's a horrible idea. No, don't do that, gentlemen. No.
Really bad move.
But
you know what else is bad? Shooting elephants.
You know, I for one am not a fan of shooting elephants, but I am a fan
or tacitly supporting SOPA
of great savings. And what did I say? Great savings? I mean HostGator. We eat up the competition. You know, you see this little bit over here. They say, get 20% off now. Fuck that business. How about 25% off the package price right in your face organ? Now you're going to ask, Vin, does this apply to domain names? No, you already have a domain name. This is about hosting your account. And if you order through HostGator and you throw in the magic keyword LGC week FTW for the win, you're not going to get that 20% off. What are they going to get, J-Man?
Yeah, they're going to get a little 25% off.
25% off? That's madness. We're giving it away.
2.5? Yeah, it's
madness. This
madness!
And no elephants will be shot.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. Check that out at hostgator.com. But you know what? Speaking of gnashing teeth, I hear gnashing teeth.
Oh, noes.
Oh, no.
Because I heard that horse has a problem with the security, as I was saying.
Yeah. I was looking for a way to transition into that, but thank you for that. It's our Steam
Linux
Update
of the week. So, lies, damn lies, and charts, right?
Yeah, lies and statistics. This is steamcharts.com. Handy little graphical visualization of various Steam statistics in chart form. And if you scroll down a little, you can check out our top games, or their top games, rather. And of the
look, number one's No
ones,
Shit, followed by...
you know what? Out of the top 5 games, 3 out of 5 of them have Linux clients, and one is Inbound Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Yeah.
I'm actually very shocked to see that Rust has gained such popularity.
It was actually Rust up there earlier in the week, not Civ 5. So my entry in the show notes is a bit inaccurate, but
well, it also says some staying power about Skyrim, which does run pretty good under wine, doesn't it, P-Man?
Yeah,
it does. Especially if you have the CSMT wine, it works beautifully, even with the open source drivers.
Indeed. So you know what? I hear that Roxanne has turned off the red light and turned on the green light.
Oh,
green.
Yes, that's kind of like veg, unfortunately.
What is that? When you have sex with a crippled person so they can't get away?
Yeah, it's like that's exactly what veg is. Veg. Tell them about it, P-Man.
It's the new batch of greenlit titles.
How many?
They've greenlit a total of 50, 25 of which are for Linux. 50%. There's a couple of them I'm interested in, which are Decadence and Zed Absolution. They look interesting. At least they don't have those retro hippie pixel graphics type thing going for them.
Dude, they don't have strippers either.
Actually, there's sort of an anime strip bejeweled type game that was greenlit. I haven't had a chance to test it yet.
P-Man, Pedro.
Yes.
Pedro.
Unquote.
Boo. Because you say something about horror games in there. And we love horror games, right? Slender
There
Clones.
are 4 supposed horror games, and
So they finally
the
made
truth,
Spice
all I-
World the game. All right.
Spice up your life. People of the world, spice up your life.
all I really see when I look at the screenshots for those games, all I see is Unity.
Yep.
Unity engine.
Unity.
So we'll have to see how good they actually are.
Hey, look, a freefall tournament, also known as we're going to get sued by Nintendo.
I think that was coming to Linux, though.
Well, that's brilliant, but I heard GlaDOS likes to get down on her hands and knees and get tied up a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, so this has caused a bit of a hubbub.
Ooh, that's...
So the backstory behind this is that the proprietary MP3 decoder that Portal 2 uses requires the ability to make heap memory executable. Now, what that means is that if I, say, compromised a couple MP3 files in Portal, I could inject arbitrary code into the system and run it. Normally, we have things that'll stop that, i.e. AppArmor and SE Linux.
Right.
Unfortunately, this particular MP3 decoder, which shall not be named, you can check out the article in the show notes,
Mm-hmm.
requires executable heap memory. So you got to have your SE Linux either disabled or running in permissive mode. And some people aren't liking that because it does actually allow people to execute arbitrary code on your system.
No,
and that's not a good thing.
I actually got to ask you, J-Man. I mean, you know a bit about SE Linux and policies and like that. Is this something I should really wet my bed about, or is it kind of like, whoa, bugger, bugger, Gabe's going to kill you?
Well, if your apps, they should, it is something that they should actually fix. But in the meanwhile, there isn't really that much harm, unless you're playing Portal on like a production server, in which case, go you fucking rock. But temporarily SE set enforce permissive, and then when you're done the game, set enforcing to get around that. Or you can actually customize your policy. If you get an SE Linux exception, it'll act in the error log, it'll actually tell you what to run to enable xheap in an active enforcing SE Linux policy.
So craziness comes from Softpedia, and it's one of those things. I mean, if you're hyper paranoid about it, yeah, you're gonna flip the fuck out. But like J-Man says,
it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's still kind of bad.
Indeed. So, P-Man, let me pass this roach over to you, man.
Yeah, this is Journey of a Roach. It's a post-apocalyptic point-and-click rad
Welcome to
roach
Joe's
simulator.
apartment and Kitty Cat Rodeo.
Yeah, if you played Fallout 3, you know what a rad roach is. And these are mutated roaches that you have to control and help them in their quest to reach and explore the surface of the world after nuclear war has sort of ravaged the entire planet.
Wait, all they're going to find up there is Keith Richards.
Like
Right.
It's sort of ish, but it's more point and click adventure than platformer by itself. It's got some platforming bits, as you can see, but most of the story goes by in a point and click type of thing, which we'll get on, later in the review section. But this one, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I blame Broken Age for the recent stream of point and click
throws money at Monitor,
games.
Right? Breaking Kickstarter records.
Yeah,
that'll do it. But this clocks in at $14.99. Wet, stinky caches. You might check that out. Put it in your face organs. Let's see if it has that full controller support. That's what we like to see. Check it out on the big picture with
Logitech controller. Woo!
Moon device.
But Ben, I hear you had to perform an abortion.
You want to get high?
Wine.
Not whining about this. What we're talking about, we are talking about South Park Stick of Truth on Steam, but not available on Linux, and probably never will be. This is something that just hit me out of left field, a lot like pedestrians.
They stalled that one time,
right?
Or Hitler.
True story. Wine HQ. This had a platinum rating. Now it's been knocked down to, oh dear Lord, gold. What works? Fuck mothering everything. That's what works. Menus, cutscenes, gameplay, everything tested so far. Tentatively, nothing does not work. Not just regular nothing. Now with extra tentatively. What was not tested?
Some people have been reporting that on Arch Linux they've been having some issues.
Well, of course they are. I mean, it might require actually editing a config file.
Ooh, snap.
No, apparently all you need is the D3D X9_43 from Wine Tricks, and you can get the game to
the
work.
same
from
thing
there.
you needed to get. Oh, I don't know, running Skyrim.
Yeah.
Anyways, I would actually recommend you buy this game and wine it because it's good fun and it has a gold rating.
You're saying
so
it's worth
probably
being a heretic and buying this.
It is. If you are a South Park fan, it is worth running it in wine.
Now, see, this is the thing. Any self-respecting Linux user, you're allowed 5 heretic purchases in your entire life. So pick wisely on this.
This is one of them, I would say.
I'm already 2 in, so this would be my 3rd heretic purchase, and I don't know if I can bring myself to do it. But after listening to your glowing review about abortions, yeah.
You have to fight zombie Nazi chef. How can you say no to that?
Well, you know who always says yes to that? And that's our horse, because he always says nay. But he's going to prance away and leave us. But we have some regular news coming up, don't we, J-Man?
Yeah, we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to your regular LGC Weekly News. And starting us off this week, we got some NVIDIA news to, contrast with last week. Ven, tell us all about it.
In your face right here, latest version of the NVIDIA x64 and also 32-bit driver 33421 is out now. This is kind of a support release because it is going to add support for the 750 series, the Titan Black, and we were talking earlier before.
Titan Baraku!
Baraku! Before we record, I just want one of those to wear as a dildo with no intentions of using it. And if you look down just a bit, you'll finally see they have updated the NVIDIA setting control panel to allow the selection of display devices using Randa and target ID names when making queries targeted toward specific display devices. Finally! Now, I have fuck all idea what that meant, but it's there, right there in your face.
It's exciting stuff. I just peed myself.
So,
And shitty as the AMD drivers may be, they've actually supported that for a good long while now.
small price to pay for living in the future, Pedro. Small price. That's a thing. Put it in your face, organs, download it. If you're on Debian, Ubuntu, or anything like that, Xorg, Edges, Fedora, just build the damn thing from source, right, P-Man? J-Man?
Yep.
Nah.
Yeah, that's a thing, but yeah, I think she's fallen.
Oh no, she's not fallen. In fact, she's on the lift.
See, I was disappointed with this game because they didn't have the Enterprise in the default ships.
Yeah, you have to build it yourself. But, Lift is a flight sandbox game according to their page on IndieDB. And they say it's based on real-world physics, but what you build is completely up to your imagination, from Superman to the World War II bombers, or even the Enterprise, if you so wish it.
Or
Now,
giant
I
flying
just
fox.
like to mention that at the end of their introductory bit, they say that early alpha versions are free to play and will be released on web, PC, and Linux forum. Alright, motherfuckers, what's the difference between PC and Linux? Cannot a PC run Linux?
Right
no,
now,
because
Pedro,
one's politically correct.
Right. Politically correct. Which, as you said, P-Man, with that business, you know it's Unity without even looking at it, but boom, there it is. Of course it's Unity. I like what they're trying to do, and this is stupidly early. What it boils down to is you get to build planes and crash that business into other shit, which I'm all for, and apparently some other people were some time back. J-Man...
I gave this one about 5 minutes. I went with the Rafflecopter. The one end of it is just way too weighted down, so I didn't really get anywhere. I just kind of crashed in place. It really does smack of an early alpha. So check it out if you're interested in seeing a project that might go somewhere interesting.
Comes at a fair price, right?
Cheap is free.
Cheap as in free.
It might come somewhere, but at the current stage, it's basically
Oh,
a
you,
tech
you know what? I
demo.
came somewhere.
You always
Yeah,
come
I'd
everywhere.
like
I've
to
tried to
see-
clean it up, but let's talk about some Unvanquished. Alpha 25.
More like unplayable. Actually, no. This release is actually playable. I downloaded the static binaries, compiled it from source myself. Both ran pretty well.
Hey, baby, it's got a new drill.
They're source minus points though, because if you want to download all the pack files, it's a pain in the ass to do. They don't have like one big package that has them all.
No repo to rule them all, eh?
Not on Fedora, anyways.
But they do
Not
have
open
one render to draw them all.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have a couple improvements there. They say they have better textures, new models. They've dropped OpenGL 1.1, so now you need something that supports OpenGL 2.1. They've
So as
also
long as you
done
have
some
an
modifications to turret firing patterns, jetpacks, and building units. Apparently builders can build again without waiting for a building completion. So sort of like Protoss from StarCraft.
Yeah, and if you've been living in some moon universe and you're like, oh, what is Unvanquished? It's basically a playable version of Natural Selection 2.
Yeah, pretty
These days,
much.
Natural Selection 2 is pretty playable.
Well, it has eventually gotten there, and this looks really good for an open source game.
Yeah, it's SDL. It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's open. It's Natural Selection 2 made on the Quake 3 engine, so can't really complain about that.
Nah.
Indeed.
Check that business out. It's at unvanquished.net. And another free game.
Oh, yes. So, according to their NDD page, War-Torn Lands is a multiplayer first-person shooter set on an island ruled by a corrupt government and blah, 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 blah. Now, this game is a Unity game. You can, if you can't tell just by the screenshots, but also the developers are so poor they can't even afford to show you the guns they're firing.
They forgot to render the models.
They forgot to render the models for the guns, and that is inexcusable. I'm clicking and I'm like, why am I not firing?
No,
Then I see the boats.
I'm looking at the video right now, and somebody went, hey, look, trees! They work.
Trees!
Let's put trees. Hey, look at the horizon. More trees. Yes.
Yeah, this is.
You know,
I want to say it's like Far Cry on a budget, but it's really not.
No, I mean, coming from the summary, they do say War-Torn Lands is a multiplayer first-person shooter set on an island ruled by a corrupt government and a great team deathmatch. Right. First-person shooter that kind of looks like...
Because we have a dearth of those on Linux.
Right.
yeah.
P-Man was...
But
No,
how about
I
some
was
death?
kind of with Jordan on this one. I was reading the introductory bit, and I'm like, yeah, that's Far Cry you're describing there. And then I look at the screenshots, and all I see is Unity grass everywhere.
No,
it's
Unity grass.
If,
everywhere.
try playing the game. Like, it's 90% Unity grass.
So that is War-Torn Lands is going to be in the show notes like everything else we throw at you, but slam!
Come on,
Yep.
Slam, and welcome to the jam.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's the
procedural death
procedural death jam.
Sunday,
Kind of
Sunday,
metal
Sunday.
name it's got going for it. But
I
yeah,
like the
according to
nomenclature.
Bart,
What is it? I've
the
never heard of it.
procedural death jam is a 7-day game jam benefiting OpenArt's recent Patreon campaign. The theme is Procedural Death Labyrinth, a new way of describing games like FTL, Spelunky, CoinCrypt, The Binding of Isaac, etc. That's less awkward than calling it roguelike or roguelite. So you know, they claim you might have seen it on the Steam tags. Personally, I did not. But yeah, it's a game
I'm
jam.
gonna start referring to
You
these
have-
games as procedural death mazes now.
Yeah, you have 7 days to create a roguelite and submit it. Although, if you are already competing for the 7-day roguelike challenge, you can submit your game to the procedural death labyrinth jam thing too. Because the two themes are sort of overlapping. Although they warn you that the opposite is not exactly true. If you're developing a procedural death labyrinth, it's not exactly a roguelike. So you gotta be careful with that.
So,
Just
correct me if I'm right, but when I hear procedural, I think we don't want to be arsed making levels. Is that about right?
Yeah, kinda.
I mean, there are games that do it well, like Rogue and NetHack and FTL. And
Yeah, and Rogue Legacy.
All right. That's the thing. Check it out at opengameart.org. But that's going to do it for our news section, because coming up next, we're going to go deep into the heart
Cobras
with nightmares.
And like the Dark Lord Cthulhu rising from the depths of Relia and the Atlantic Ocean, we are back reviewing Nightmares of the Deep, the Cursed Part by Artifacts Mundi. It's programmed in the Spark Casual engine. It's $6.99 or $5.99.
Lord, if you're colorblind, you're probably fucked on this webpage.
Oh yeah, no. You can play for free, or you can buy it. Which one's which? But anyways, what is it? Well, it's one of these point-and-click adventure games where you click on everything, and barring that, you combine everything, and then use that to click on everything. It's a clicky game. And, of course, with all clicky games, we review it with our crazy-ass review system. Cue the chair explanation. And, of course, as always, 1 chair is shit, 2 chairs is meh, 3 chairs is pretty good, and 4 chairs is Orgasmotron. And of course, we apply these 4-chair metrics to number of categories. Zodoom. Mixed with the working is how the game runs. Shiny and sounds is how the game looks and sounds. Controls is self-explanatory, and fun is whether we wanted to stab our eyes out with shredded plastic forks or not after playing this game. So Ven, did Nightmares from the Deep, the Cursed Heart, make with the working?
I'm more interested in your shredded plastic fork technology, but did it make with the working? Absolutely. On our Ubuntu 12.04 minimum test system, 770 powered, 32-bit, because Q, that's why.
Take a shot.
Gotta give it 4 chairs. That's what it deserves. Not a hiccup, not an issue. It did not say one disparaging remark about my mother. J-Man.
Well, on my Fedora 20 64-bit NVIDIA 670 super clocked AMD 1090T powered PC right next to my foot, worked pretty much out of the box, no issue. So 4 chairs.
Boom. P-Land.
And on my calculator, running an ATI 5650 HD and an i3 370M on Corora 32-bit. It ran out of the box, no issues, 4 chairs.
All right, well, that's a good start. 4 chairs with mix with working. Although that's pretty much par for the course unless you're, let's say...
Not lately.
That's true. We've got some games that don't work right out of the box. Shame on you. Coming up next, Shiny and Sounds. Then, what did you think about the awesome Uncanny Valley animation in this game? And Mahjong.
Mahjong. That's the whole thing. We're going to take a little quick look at the video here for our interweb viewers that are watching us live. You're thinking, all right, well, honestly, probably you're like Shiny and Sounds. Ven's going to flip the hell out. You already got your cock in your hand and your lotion ready to jerk off listening to me rage about hipster pixel graphics. And you'd be wrong, because that's not what this business is. What this is, and I said this a long time ago when we first took a look at it. If you told me they had transplanted this from a decade ago, or a decade 0.5 ago, updated the engine and dropped it in my face organ today, I was like, that's almost a clone from when I was playing in 1996 Phantasmagoria type stuff. Point and click the game, yes. Shiny and Sounds, they're not trying to be anything other than that. The sounds are sounds. The shiny, but the uncanny valley, as J-Man has touched on, it's still there because you'll have that matte painted background, your people moving around, and boom, out of nowhere, semi-animated video, and all right, nope. That's there.
Honestly, that's the most terrifying part of the game, to be perfectly honest.
3 chairs for that, because that's what it deserves. I liked it. It's not hipster. It's not trying to be retro. It's really genuinely harkening back to something that I didn't necessarily love, but I respect them for doing it right, J-Man.
Well, I have no such fond memories about your good old 1995 era FMV point and click adventure games like Ripper or Phantasmagoria, a puzzle of flesh. But yeah. Speaking of Phantasmagoria, the in-game, like when you're on the map painting, that reminded me of Phantasmagoria. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. And then all of a sudden you talk to someone, and like Ven said, you just get hit by this plasticine-lipped It's creepy looking. Honestly, like her talking scarred me for life. And speaking of talking, that voice acting, ugh, man, it is passable just because it's not like Space Thunder Kids awful. Oh no, a pirate. But it's just a hair above that. So I'm gonna give that 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Pedro.
And you know what? Frame by frame was done back in the day when computers couldn't handle it. Nowadays, even my calculator, with those shitty specs I mentioned earlier, can run Metro Last Light on medium graphics definitions. So it's not really doing it any favors. The sounds are alright. The voice acting, like mentioned before, was kind of meh. There's a bit of the uncanny valley going on, but you know what? The subtle background noises actually sort of do make up for it. So for me, it gets 2 chairs. Non-committal, middle of the road kind of score. But yeah.
For a non-committal, middle of the road kind of game. So that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Control. This is a comprehensive overview of all the nuances of the control scheme that this game has. Then was it too much for your tiny little squirrel brain?
One chair, because it did not work with my PS4 controller, did not work with my Xbox 360. Oh wait, we're talking about something that's a point-and-click adventure game. Did it work with a wireless gerbil? Because you said third control right there. That's it. This hand, you can go jerk off a horse. I mean, you have no need for it. And yeah, you eventually start with your strategy of like, click here, click here, click here, click here. Then it devolves into, fuck it, grid click, and just work your way down. But all those clicks were accurate, so I guess anything bad about that 4 chairs for what it is, like I said, it really does throw back to the old days. J-Man.
Well, you point and you click. It's kind of hard to screw that up. So 4 chairs.
Yep. You know, when I clicked on clickable things looked like they had been clicked on. So for me, 4 chairs.
Can you say click like 7 more times?
Click, 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 click.
Yeah. No one cares. So that's 4 chairs for control because, it's the most comprehensive control system on the face of the earth. Finally, our last subjective category. Fun. Ben, did you have fun?
Woo! Actually, yeah. Fun. Subjective. Question mark. I had fun in a very special way. Not the special way that you kidnapped the Santa Claus out in front of the grocery and took him home and did things to him. Not that type. But in the way of, I was saying, this is done right. This is done so stupidly right. It felt like, I remember playing this. In all fairness, in the modern day, with the lackady hairdo and your sparkly cowboy boots, how does this stand up? Not really. I actually enjoyed this more than I did our recent Double Fine adventure, just because it was so old school. But let's talk about who was it in the chat room that didn't know what the fuck all a mahjong board was? Mahjong.
Mahjong.
I don't know who was doing drugs on the development team that threw that in there, because that's had to have been on the board of like, random. Oh, can you not solve this puzzle? Play a random game of mahjong and get the answer. And I was like, all right, why not? You know, it was like, here, let's play beer pong. It would have worked just the same. It would have made equal sense. And another thing, if you want to play it on your standard mode, because the stupid easy mode is like hints everywhere, which really reminded me of the original Phantasmagoria, not Puzzle of Flesh, which was the sequel with boobies. But
and gay sex.
Hot, but they had the little skeleton, like, it was like, are you stuck? Click here. And there was really no points I felt that it was not like, fuck you stuck. It was like, fucking seriously stuck. It's like, combine this, move this. And I was like, wow. But then again, a lot of thought went into that. Going along on that, 3 Chairs, I enjoyed it. Again, for what it is, kind of bringing that nostalgia back to my face organ. J-Man?
See, anything involving Mahjong that does not also involve Hitler going Super Saiyan and fighting the Pope is completely unacceptable to me. But that being said, this game is pretty much just like Phantasmagoria, except awful. See, Phantasmagoria 2 actually had a decent story, well, up until the very end, where it just kind of went all weird in X-Files, but this just doesn't really do it for me. I'm not a fan of point-and-click adventure games. At least Broken Age had some decent writing and some decent acting.
But
this...
Sam!
Hey, it had Cree Summer in that, and she's pretty good. And, you know, give me the ring! Oh, Frodo. Anyways, this game just doesn't really do it for me. The stupid pointless scavenger hunts, the dumb puzzles. It's just, I gotta find Patrick Starfish and throw him on a door and unlock it. Doesn't really do it for me. It's kind of bad. I'm gonna give it 1 chair.
For the fun, B-Man.
Yeah.
Princess Mateus.
To reiterate what I said
Princess
earlier, in this day and age, I find that frame by frame is more of a hipster gimmick than an art direction, and it doesn't really help the game at all, in my opinion. Okay, granted, the casual mode actually makes the game a bit more intuitive to people that are not used to point-and-click adventure games. And to me, that's a good thing. But I used to like point-and-click adventure games, and even on hardcore mode, I found the game a little too easy.
Well, we did say that genre kind of died a natural death for a reason.
Yeah, and it was a thing in the 90s because that's what the technology could handle at the time. And nowadays, we can do so much more. Again,
we can paint everything brown and shoot
last
corners.
Indeed.
Precisely. So for me, for the fun category, 2 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for the fun category. And if we total all this crap up and divide it by 4, then we get a final score of 3 chairs for Nightmares of the Deep.
That actually, even with all of our
Butts.
naysaying, kind of boils down to a check it out.
Yep.
So, final thoughts on this. You do have to keep in mind it was kind of heavily weighed with the working, and they the controls. They kind of padded their resume.
The score a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the LGC review system.
If you're an old fan of it, the only thing I'm going to say it's kind of negative. Well, $6.99. That's almost impulse buy. I mean, if it's something you want to explore, spend a few hours on, and kind of throw back to that, it's done well. And when I say it's done well, it's done in the old style of how this used to go down. So if you remember those days and you're old and you want to tell some kids to get off the lawn, tell them to get the fuck off your lawn and go sit down and play this business. J-Man.
I would say don't buy this game, but that's me. So that's it. Pedro.
Yeah. For $6.99 or €5.99, if you like the point-and-click adventures of yore, yeah, it's a definite buy. Get it. You'll have fun. Granted, the game is not very long. You'll be done with it in about 6 or 7 hours at most, if you really care to explore everything. But Yeah, it does have the voice acting and the uncanny valley and the frame-by-frame presentation going against it, so keep that in mind.
So that wraps up our review for Nightmares from the Deep, Curse of My Sunken Nap.
But we have some more nightmare fuel coming up.
We do. We have hate mail for you people live on the air.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again where we read your hate mail. And just as a quick reminder, if you'd like to get in touch with us, just go on to LinuxGameCast.com, push that contact button in the nav bar there. Just be sure to fill out your name, fill out your email, give us a subject, give us your message, prove you're smarter than a bot, and you're good to go. Just, if you're trying to...
I gotta interrupt you here because it's apparently people don't listen to you. So we have to show them what happens when they don't follow the rules.
Here's what happens when they don't follow the rules. This is
from a company who will not be named.
Yeah, that company thinks they deserve special treatment, and they say, "Dear Pedro, we thought you might be interested in sharing the news about the Kickstarter for some game with your community." And then I sent them a message and said, "Hey, unless you got, a playable prototype, we can't talk about it." And they said, "At this time, we have no prototypes for press, for Mac and Windows either. We work with Unity, just as we use it now for this game. I hope you can break your rule exceptionally." Smiley face with a wink.
No. Oh, I still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, eat a bag of dicks, guys. Especially
you
with Unity, if you were saying, "Oh, this is a custom engine we built in-house, made of our own awesome sausage and tech," was like Unity, click export, which also tells me you're not using SDL for your controls.
Nope, they're not.
So fuck all y'all. You can go to hell. Next up,
Eat a bag. Scott Jarvis from Puppy Arcade 11. He's telling it, "Dear sir and madam, look, Princess Matesi even references you. I have released a retro gaming live CD called Puppy Arcade 11. If you're interested, it's a very lightweight, less than 200 megajoules, and is a full Linux operating... Well, no shit, that's kind of what...
that's what Puppy Linux is.
Many different emulators from billions of years ago in the few multi-system all-in-one ROM browsers mainly targeted older hardware, so might want to pass that to Pedro, which I'm sure he's going to talk about it. So if you could help me spread the word a little, that would be great. 2 exclamation points. Of course, if you can't work, that's fine too. I understand. Homepage Pigman.
Yeah, I took it for a spin, and the ROM loader thing that he actually talks about in his email, the link will be in the show notes so you can read the whole thing. I took it for a spin, and the ROM loader, it just freezes as soon as it starts. Granted, the emulators do work fine, and getting the ROMs manually and setting everything up yourself
oh man,
also
they support
works.
Atari Lynx. My life is now fulfilled.
I had one of those.
Yeah, but having to set everything yourself manually, it sort of defeats the whole purpose of having a dedicated distro to retro emulator gaming, doesn't it?
I don't know, P-Man, you tell me.
Yeah, because it doesn't work. The ROM loader is supposed to do all the work, carry everything, get the ROMs, get the emulators to work properly with said ROM. It's all supposed to do everything for you, but it doesn't work. You have to do it yourself.
So Scott, I guess what we're trying to communicate at the end of the day, for a 200 megabyte download, we have these things called mobiles. That would make an interesting app. It would not make a very... I mean, if you're going to make a custom box in like that, right, you're going to go MAME. You're going to MAME it, period.
Yeah.
You're not going to be putzing with us. Neat project, man. We're definitely going to give you a plug on that business because It's at scottjarvis.com. Page 105.htm,
Remember, it's not scotttenorman.com. This man
Unfortunately.
has not eaten his own parents, as far as we know.
As far as we know, we cannot
As
confirm
far as
or
we
deny that. It's neither here or there. But that's going to wrap it up for our hate mail section. So it's time to cue that music and tell these lovely demon hordes of the internets where we are. I'm Vin Stone at Vin Stone plus Vin Stone. Twitter and G+. Accordingly, J-Man, bring it.
Jordan Quang at Burning Fool, Twitter, plus Jordan Quang, Google+.
And I've been taking a shot for every time anyone says the word Linux in this podcast, so I'm pretty hammered. I am Pedro Mateos. You can find me at unaccounted4 on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
So I guess at the end of the day, all you need to do is just say, nope, at the lovely people.
None whatsoever.
Lana!